Hey there, Fletcher All Things Overlanding here, and today I'm excited because I just picked up a new, you could call it portable, or I guess an add-on Bluetooth unit. I actually picked this up for my other car. I just picked up this 2015 Infiniti Q70 as sort of a second car to have in addition to the truck. So I've got the truck for like off-roading and camping, and then when it's summertime and nice out and I want to drive something with a little more room for the family and stuff, then I can drive this old Infiniti. So I just picked this thing up, but it's old school. It doesn't have CarPlay or anything like that. So I decided to go with this 60 frame per second sort of portable, again, CarPlay unit from a company called CarpodGo. I'm going to put a link in the description below to this thing if you want to check it out, get more details and see the price on it. It's actually pretty reasonable. I think it's like $200 and some. But I'm going to show you this thing. I'm going to show you everything that comes with it. It basically makes my old school non-smart car into a smart car with CarPlay, with a nice big display screen that can be mounted a number of ways, and it has some really nice features, and it pretty much works with any type of car. So whether you have CarPlay or not, if you just want to go to wireless and you have wired CarPlay, this is an option. Or if you have an older car that doesn't have CarPlay at all, this is a great way to add it for a budget price. So if you want to learn more about the CarpodGo portable CarPlay interface, stay tuned.
Where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you give to me. Loosening my grip.
All right, guys, so as I mentioned in the intro today, I'm talking about this CarpodGo screen. This is a 10.25 inch screen. As you can see, it really nicely complements my stock sort of OEM stuff, which is fascinating because this is a 2015 Infiniti, kind of a top of the line Q70. And back in 2015, they didn't even have CarPlay at all, not even wired, nothing, just Bluetooth. But the beauty of this is you can connect this thing through Bluetooth or through an aux cable or through the radio, even if you wanted to. This thing will play your music and give you a nice display screen with all your stuff on it, with your maps, with your music, with everything that you want to see. So again, I'm going to kind of walk you through this. I'm going to start by walking you through all the features, and then I'm going to try and capture it in action. It's a little tricky because I'm recording with my phone and it plays from my phone, so I may go grab another camera here in a minute to show you that. But let's start by talking about what comes in the box. So I've kind of got everything over here because I've actually been playing with this to install it. For the Q70 folks, if you're here because you have this car or an Infiniti or a similar sort of sedan, I will show you how I ran the cables. I think they're pretty clean. You can't really see them anywhere, but I'm going to kind of show you that here in a moment. But let's start again with the stuff that comes with it. So of course you get the main unit. One cool thing about this is there's also a magnetic base on the back of it. So let's say you're in a place where you're kind of worried about leaving it up here on the dash. You don't want it to be visible. You could pop this thing off of here because it's just a magnetic mount, and then you could throw it in your glove box or something like that, which I really like. Or you could take this inside if you wanted to use this as like a small little iPad or something. It runs via USB-C, so you could use this thing wherever you wanted to. I have an e-bike that I use around at expos and things like that, and I'm contemplating getting a mount for it so that I could pop this thing off, plug it into my e-bike, and then run it on my e-bike to have, you know, GPS and that sort of thing. So I like the portability and the modularity of it because it just gives me a lot of options for how I can use this thing. Also, if you had more than one vehicle, that would be another use case where maybe you might use this in another vehicle and just have two mounts or something like that, but one unit, and you could swap it back and forth. So anyways, just thinking outside the box. But let's start with what comes with this unit. So of course you get a nice little instruction manual. It's in multiple languages, but it's actually only like 5 or 6 pages, and it just kind of shows you how the thing goes together, how to mount it, everything that should be included, and it tells you how to operate the unit. But I'm going to show you that here in a second. It's pretty easy to use. You also get this big long cord, which is for a backup camera. So this thing does include a backup camera. So if your car was really old and didn't have a backup camera, mine does, but the quality's pretty lackluster if I'm being honest, so I may end up wiring this thing in eventually just to have a better, higher quality backup camera. But it does come with a cord for that. Of course, it comes with the actual backup camera itself that can be mounted on like a license plate or with the stickers like up underneath of the rear of your trunk. So you get that. And then you also get this little thing, which is kind of cool. It's like a modulator for the power. So to make these things kick on, you usually have to wire into a reverse light in your tail light, but sometimes that won't provide enough power and it will just short out and it won't work right. So this thing actually modulates that power for you and makes it so that it works even if the power isn't sufficient enough. You just wire this sort of in line, this little sort of isolator. So that also comes with it, and I like that they were thoughtful enough to include that. Now, you do get this sort of flat plastic disc with 3M on it. So the way that I've got mine mounted up here is I'm actually attaching it low to the glass and then just sticking it straight out. So again, this is kind of my view. And I'm pretty tall, so it may look like in this video that it's blocking my view, but it's really not. This is the hood. Like, the corner of my hood is right here. This is a big car. So like the actual hood of the car is in my line of sight, right where the top of this thing is. So I actually like that this is here. And the other thing is it's totally adjustable via this arm, and there's like a little adjustment. So it looks like I could probably sneak it down like another ½ an inch. And then that would give me an even better line of sight out the front of the car. So it's really nice and adjustable. But if you weren't mounting it to your glass, you get this plastic disc that you could use to, you know, stick this up to your dash or to another surface in your car, you know, and then you could suction cup that mount to this plastic disc. So if you didn't have glass to put it to, or you wanted to put it somewhere else, this just gives you another option to mount it. Then another thing that I was playing with is you actually get this little sort of U-shaped arm, and you get 2 of these bendable, which I've never seen these before. It's actually really cool. You get these bendable mounts. Now, the material of my dash didn't work very well, so I tried sticking this to it, but it kind of just came up because this is kind of that alligator skin or, you know, leather style rubber stuff. So it didn't really stick very well to that. But well, the other idea I had was, you know, possibly down here where it's kind of bent. But again, because this stuff has these cuts in it, you can actually get it to adhere to the thing, and it will bend along those lines. So because it's kind of cut, it doesn't have to be flat. Like, a lot of these are rigid and flat, but this gives you the ability to mount it to, you know, possibly like a rounded surface. So kind of contemplated this, but I just didn't like having to look down. I wanted up, you know, up higher, more in my view instead of down here, because then that's a little dangerous to be looking down here, down low. And if I use the manumatic shifter, then it's kind of in the way down there. So I ended up not using that. But you do get 2 of these mounts and 1 of these little arms that you can use with those mounts. Now, this is my own little pry tool that I use to hide the cord. And again, I'm going to show you how I did that here in a second if you are a sedan person and wants to know kind of how to hide it and make it look good. Then you also get this aux cable. So again, this thing can attach to your radio via Bluetooth, which is what it's doing right now. Or if you had an auxiliary input, then you could plug this 3.5mm auxiliary cable in and run it that way. Or there is an option. So let me show you here. There is an option back here in the menu, or if you go to this CarpodGo thing, this is kind of like their home screen where you can actually click. So like right now you can see it says FM over here, right? So you could click on that, and then it gives you these multiple options. So you've got the Bluetooth, you've got FM, so you could basically make your own radio station. Then you've got aux, and then you can play it out of speakers that are mounted in this thing too. So if you had no speakers in your car and you still wanted to play some music, you could use the speakers on this device to run your audio. Again, I've tested the FM. I will say that the FM, and this is probably just the way that FM radio works, it's not very clear. It's kind of a little bit distorted, but it's better than nothing, right? So if all you had, if you didn't have an aux input and you didn't have Bluetooth, you could still use this thing with FM, and you could at least get your music to your radio, which is a nice feature. Or again, worst case, maybe you don't have any, and so you make it come out of the speakers of this device itself. Now, when you switch the audio settings, it does reset itself just to enact that change. So you can kind of see that, but you see how fast this thing is. It operates at 60 frames per second, and it operates really super fast. So I like it that there's no delay. That is one thing that I've had with some of these sort of units that I have, where there's like a big delay, and this thing is super fast. So now another thing to mention is that the device itself is fairly heavy. So I just adjusted it a little bit, because what they recommend is that you actually sort of rest it on the dash. So what I did was I just scooted my suction cup back a little bit, locked it back on, and then set this thing here so that it doesn't move as much. Because if you hit a bump or something and it's suspended, then it's going to want to sort of bounce around, but it's pretty stable sitting here with the combination of the suction cup and that. So just an FYI, make sure that it's supported, or, you know, that it's attached from the bottom. So just sort of a tip there on how to mount it. But again, here on my car, I think this actually works really great. And they do give you these strips of 3M. So I might actually take a little piece of 3M and put it right on the bottom here, and then that will attach it to there so that it doesn't move around at all, because I don't want it bouncing, right? So, but that's what I'm going to do for mine. And I, again, think that that looks really, really nice, right? Like, it just augments my main screen, gives me full CarPlay right up where I can see it, and it works great. So very nice. All right, so I do have it mounted now with just a little piece of 3M down here so that it's very stable, and then the mount back there on the glass. But again, this is kind of my view, right? My first person view of driving. Now again, my eyes are actually up here, so this is what it actually looks like when I'm driving. And again, that is the front of the car right there. So I'm not actually really losing any view or visibility at all. But again, you can mount this wherever you want, right? I personally like it up here because it's visible. I can see my maps, I can see my music and stuff. It's also within easy reach of everything, just like my radio is. So it's basically almost like OEM, but an add-on screen for my head unit. So I really like that. Now, a couple things to mention about this that are very unique about it is this is, I believe, the only one I've ever seen that is a 60 frame per second refresh rate. Most of them are less, right? Because it's cheaper. So these guys spent the time, spent the effort, spent the money to make this thing refresh quicker. It has a super fast processor in it. So again, there's no lag. It moves around great. It feels great to the touch. It's really easy to use the CarPlay stuff, and the interface is just fantastic. So again, I'm going to show you more of that here in a second. The screen resolution is 1920 by 720, and the brightness is 700 nits. And I'll drop a little explanation of what that means here, but that's kind of the measurement they use to determine like the brightness of like smartphone screens and things like that. But 700 nits is a really bright, really nice screen. Now, another thing is this has a sensor built into it so that it can detect when it's daytime or nighttime, and it will automatically adjust, just like your OEM CarPlay unit might do, where when it turns to night, it goes into dark mode, and when it's daytime, it turns into daytime mode, right? So this thing will automatically do that for you as well, which is really awesome. So again, let's dive in now to the actual functionality of the unit itself, and then we'll wrap up this video. All right, so as you can see, we are now in CarPlay. Again, the screen just looks fantastic. You've got all your sort of normal CarPlay modes. I like the width of the screen and kind of this custom UI that they've built for it too, because it's very familiar. It's like a lot of you know, units that I've used before, or OEM vehicle mounted CarPlay units. So it's very familiar and easy to use. You know, you've got your, in my case, my calendar down here. I've got my music stuff here. You've got your directions and your map over here. You've got some quick links. So I'm sure you can swap these out, but mine right now are phone, my Amazon Music, and then my Google Maps, which is my preference for maps. If you scroll over here, you can kind of see your apps, right? So you've got all that stuff. You can see your messages. The CarpodGo app, again, is that one that just takes you back to sort of your home screen. But I mean, you can see how laser fast this thing is, right? And then over here, I've got other apps that are compatible with CarPlay, things like my car scanner for, you know, my plug-in OBD2 port reader. I've got some of my smart home stuff. I've got a Zoom. If I wanted to have a Zoom meeting, I could. My Iceco fridge could be controlled by this that's in my truck. You know, all kinds of different things that you can use on here and customize. But I really just want to focus on just how fast this thing is, right? Like, and the music quality is fantastic. When I play music through this, through the Bluetooth, of course it's through Bluetooth, right? So it's kind of up to the car, but man, there's almost no lag, no delay whatsoever, and it just sounds fantastic. So this thing's really, really super cool. I've been using it now for about a week, and it's just totally changed my car. I mean, look at how outdated this display is in this 2015. Granted, it's a 10-year-old car, but this was a flagship Infiniti top-of-the-line luxury car just 10 years ago, and this is what my display looks like. I mean, this is like my best case scenario is I can click status here, and it shows me kind of like my fan, and the Bluetooth is connected, and the time, and that's it. So this is a huge upgrade, right? So huge upgrade. So nice to be able to get in the car and have that familiarity of CarPlay. It also works with Android Auto, so if you're an Android person, it will work for you as well. But nice to have an older car that you can still have this nice new tech with. So that is the CarPodGo magnetic 60 frame per second screen. All right, guys, so that will do it for the CarPodGo 60 frame per second add-on CarPlay module for any vehicle, really. Again, I've had a couple of these now at this point, and man, I tell you what, this one is the fastest. It definitely has the least lag, and it feels the best. The GPS works flawlessly, whereas some of the other ones can get a little bit wonky, or you see some weird stuff like when you have to recalculate. This thing works just like my CarPlay in my 2023 Frontier. So again, taking a 2015 and bringing it up, you know, 8-10 years in technology for just a couple $100 is very, very nice. So of course, in the description below will be links to all my other social channels. So if you want to come hang out, I'd love to talk to you. There's also a join button below this video, which is just a passive way to support the channel. It gives you early access to the videos and some other perks. Now, if you want to be more involved with all things overlanding, there's also a link to my Patreon group. This is an awesome group of fellas. We have got 20-ish people in there right now. We all hang out. We have a 24/7 Discord. We do a Zoom call once a month, and we're getting together once or twice a year to do a camping trip. So if you want to do that, definitely consider clicking through that Patreon link. There's also a link to my website where I've got funny Overlanding camping themed patches and stickers. So if you're into that stuff, things like don't burn your wiener and it's a hot dog, or I hate people so I camp, those are down there as well. And then last but not least, there's a link to the Newbie Overlanders Facebook group, which is totally free to join and full of awesome people, but different from the big groups. There's no bullying. It's a bunch of people actually trying to help each other get into the hobby of overlanding. So again, that will do it for the CarpodGo portable screen or CarPlay edition screen. Click through that link down below to get yours. There's also a $50 off coupon code down there, so hopefully that helps you out. But thanks again for watching. Click that like button if you got value out of the video, and we'll see you next time.